Lily had always dreaded family gatherings, not because she disliked her relatives, but because she never quite knew how to join the conversation. She was the type of girl who hid behind an oversized sweater, her eyes fixed on the floor whenever someone tried to chat with her. Being at her grandmother's house both comforted and unnerved her. The familiar smell of lemon polish and lavender made her feel safe, yet the boisterous voices of aunts, uncles, and cousins filled every room. In those moments, Lily's heart would pound as she searched for a quiet corner. It was one of those holiday weekends when her mother cheerfully suggested Lily help Grandma clean the attic. Lily perked up. It meant no forced chatter, no endless questions about her life. Instead, she'd sort boxes and occasionally hand something down the creaking steps while Grandma reminisced. She nodded shyly in agreement and followed Grandma Taylor's gentle voice, making her way up the old wooden ladder that led to the attic. Sunlight slipped through the attic's tiny round window, illuminating dancing dust motes. The room smelled musty, and old cardboard boxes and trunks were stacked haphazardly. Some were marked with dates, others with cryptic labels like wedding dresses and baby keepsakes. Lily's eyes roamed over the clutter, half excited to see what treasures might hide among the antiques. Her grandma, wearing her typical floral apron, started opening boxes, humming a soft tune from her childhood. As Lily lifted a cloth-covered trunk, something inside made a soft, tinkling sound. She called Grandma over. Her curiosity piqued. The trunk itself was unremarkable. Old leather, corners, scuffed edges. But the hinged lid had a brass lock etched with swirling patterns. Grandma retrieved a small key from her apron pocket, saying she'd nearly forgotten what was inside. When the lock clicked open, Lily's nose twitched at the waft of stale air. Carefully, she pulled aside a handful of old crocheted shawls and antiquated hats until her fingers brushed against something cold and harshly metallic. She brought it into the light, a pendant the size of a walnut, shaped like a teardrop and adorned with a faintly glowing stone set in a silver frame. It felt warm in her palm, despite its metallic surface. The gem shimmered with a kaleidoscope of colors. Blue at first, then pink, then green. She blinked in surprise, convinced it was a trick of the dust-laden light. Grandma's eyes widened and a gentle smile curved her lips. "Oh, my," Grandma murmured, voice trembling with emotion. "I haven't seen that pendant in so many years. It belonged to my grandmother." She ran her fingers lightly over the gem, voice growing wistful. "They say it's magical, that it grants comfort and courage to those who truly need it." Or something along those lines. Grandma chuckled. It was always part of some old family story. But who truly knows? I could never make it glow like that. It's been dull as a pebble since I was a girl. Lily was struck by how the colors danced more vividly each time she shifted it in her palm. Something about it made her feel alive, as though a small ember of courage was being kindled within her chest. She rubbed a thumb over its surface, half expecting the glow to vanish. Instead, it intensified. She glanced at Grandma, who nodded encouragingly. "Take it, dear," Grandma said. "Something tells me it's yours to keep now." The organ in Lily's chest fluttered with an emotion she couldn't name, part reverence, part excitement. She gently clasped the pendant around her neck, the teardrop resting just below her collarbone. Its warmth seemed to seep into her skin. She thanked Grandma, then returned to her cleaning duties, placing everything else back the way they'd found it. But her thoughts circled around the strange heirloom that now called her collarbone home, stirring a quiet thrill she hadn't felt before. That night, after the usual family chatter and a somewhat restless dinner, Lily escaped to the small guest room where she slept during visits. The house fell profoundly silent except for the creaking of old wood. Curiosity tapped her awake, so she switched on the lamp, gently cupping the pendant's glowing stone. She couldn't ignore the tingle sweeping from her fingertips to her chest as though the pendant radiated more than just heat. It almost felt like it was pulsing in rhythm with her own heartbeat. She tugged at the chain slightly and closed her eyes, letting her mind wander. If this artifact truly possessed magic, maybe it would reveal secrets to her in dreams. She drifted off, the soft glow of the stone tracing faint rainbows on the floral wallpaper. And in her dreams, she stood in a sunlit garden, feeling a surge of confidence. People were talking around her, but instead of shrinking away, she was laughing, engaging in playful banter, even guiding the conversation. It was a scene she'd never envisioned. Lily commanding attention with a luminous grace. When she woke, the memory of that dream emboldened her. She joined Grandma in the kitchen, her steps lighter than usual. She actually spoke up to offer help, flipping pancakes, startling herself with how naturally the words came out. Grandma, too, noticed a difference, a spark in Lily's eyes that hadn't been visible before. After breakfast, Lily found her mother, father, and a few cousins gathered in the living room, discussing a planned trip to the nearby orchard for apple picking. While normally Lily might have hesitated or offered mumbled excuses not to go, she felt a new sense of curiosity blossoming. Perhaps the orchard might be, dare she think, it fun? They piled into two cars, chattering and giggling. Lily reached for the pendant, feeling its comforting weight. The orchard's vibrant colors, with rows of apple trees stretching far beneath a pristine blue sky, invigorated her senses. Her cousins picked apples eagerly, racing each other to see who could fill their baskets first. Lily followed them, not to watch from a distance, but to join in. She felt the thrill of companionship, laughing at silly jokes, feeling her heart bubble with warmth. She noticed that whenever she reached for an apple, faint tendrils of light danced across the pendant like miniature auroras. Her anxiety quieted, replaced by an almost unshakable calm. One of her cousins, a lively girl named Becca, turned to Lily with a grin. "I've never seen you smile so much," she teased. "What changed overnight?" Lily gave a self-conscious shrug. I I don't know. I guess I'm feeling different. She wasn't quite ready to share the pendant's secret. It didn't quite feel like something to blurt out, but she found a new boldness inside her. "Hey, want to see who can find the biggest apple?" Becca laughed. "Sure. Let's see what you're made of." And they dashed off between the tree rows. While Lily didn't win, losing didn't bother her the way it once might have. She had joined in the game, and that was victory enough. That evening, she found that chatting at dinner came more easily. She described her day with more color than usual, noticing that her parents looked both pleased and surprised. Her father ruffled her hair gently after dessert. "I like seeing you this way," he said, beaming. "So open, so bright." Lily's ears warmed, but for the first time, she wasn't embarrassed by such comments. She felt proud, a refreshing feeling. That night, Lily returned to the guest room with her mind buzzing. She thought about how earlier that afternoon she had stepped out from behind her usual wall of shyness. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but it was undeniably a shift. With the pendant resting against her chest, she felt accompanied by a silent companion that nudged her toward courage. She pressed a palm against it, smiling at its faint glow, and drifted off into another dream-filled sleep. Her dream that night was different. She stood in the dusty attic again, searching for something behind tall boxes. A faint voice called her name, soft, musical, and comforting. Following it, she found a trapdoor hidden in the floorboards. She opened it to find a swirl of starlight beneath her, beckoning her forward. A combination of fear and excitement surged through her. Without warning, she floated into the starry expanse, the pendant blazing with light. She felt an odd but exhilarating sensation, like stepping into her own potential. When she woke, the dream stuck with her. She wanted to return to the attic and see if that trapdoor actually existed. The realism of the dream unsettled her, yet it fueled her curiosity. When her grandmother was busy preparing lunch and everyone else was outside setting up lawn chairs, Lily quietly crept upstairs, ascending to that dusty domain once again. The attic was as she'd left it, boxes, trunks, vintage hats. She scanned the floorboards, searching for any sign of a hidden door. At first, there was nothing. Disappointment began to tighten her chest. But then she noticed a tiny brass ring in one of the boards. Heart pounding, she knelt and tugged. The board lifted, revealing a small compartment. No swirling starlight, but inside rested a weathered leather journal bound with twine. Dusty flecks flew into the air as she carefully opened it. Inside were neat, elegant handwriting, small sketches of that very same pendant, and scrawled notes about courage, belonging, and the importance of believing in oneself. The words spoke of a family legend, that the pendant's light didn't come from magic alone, but from the wearer's deepest wishes to evolve beyond their limitations. Lily traced her fingertips over a small sketch of a younger, wide-eyed woman, presumably the ancestor who once wore it. Beneath the drawing was a notation. The pendant lights a path you already carry within. It doesn't create strength, it reveals it. Lily's eyes misted over. She recognized an echo of her own struggles in those words. She'd always believed she lacked confidence, that she was destined to fade into the background of every social gathering. Now, as she read these journal pages, she realized the pendant wasn't gifting her foreign abilities. It was awakening something that had slept in her all along, a quiet fortitude that yearned to flourish. Entranced, she continued reading. One particular passage stood out. Share its light and you share your own. True courage grows when we allow others to see us, hear us, and know us. A wave of realization rolled through her, summoning the memory of how comfortable she felt picking apples with her cousins. She had been present, participating, showing parts of herself usually kept hidden. Perhaps that was the real magic. She had begun releasing herself from the chains of her own doubt. With renewed determination, Lily rewrapped the journal and placed it carefully back in its compartment. She felt an overwhelming urge to share her discovery with someone, yet a small voice warned her that many might dismiss the pendant as simple folklore. But she remembered the orchard, the laughter, the sense of acceptance in her family's eyes. That was real. And with a soft click, she closed the attic's newly discovered trapdoor, vowing she'd embrace courage, outwardly pendant or not. The days passed all too quickly, and soon Lily's family would be heading back to their own home, hours away. A farewell dinner was arranged, and relatives from all around town gathered once more at Grandma's big dining table, with mismatched chairs. Lively conversations erupted in every direction as plates of food were passed across the table. The sun began setting, bathing the room in a hazy, golden light. Normally, Lily would have chosen the seat furthest from the center of attention, but she found herself settling near the head of the table next to Grandma. She participated in each conversation, sharing a funny story about chasing a butterfly through the orchard, leaning in to listen when Uncle Matt described his fishing trip, and even cracking a shy grin at her cousin Dylan's cheesy jokes. At times her anxiety threatened to bubble up. Her voice caught in her throat or her hand began trembling around her fork, but the calming warmth of the pendant reminded her to keep going. Partway through the meal, Grandma tapped a spoon on her glass to gather attention. "I want to thank everyone for being here," she began, voice carrying a note of affection. "We don't often have the entire family together, and it warms my heart to see it. I also want to say how proud I am of my granddaughter, Lily." She patted Lily's hand. "She's blossomed in ways I always knew she could. She has a light in her that's finally shining bright." Embarrassment tinged Lily's cheeks pink, but she also felt a surge of pride. A small wave of applause filled the room, and Lily's heart thumped with gratitude. She spluttered a quick "thank you," and though the emotion in her chest felt enormous, her words came out steady. She reached for the pendant beneath her sweater, stroking its smooth edges. In that moment, it wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a symbol of belief in herself. On the final day of their visit, Lily asked Grandma if she could wander the nearby fields to enjoy the scenery one last time. Grandma obliged, with the condition that Lily be back before sunset. The sky was painted in pastels, peach and lavender clouds that hovered like cotton candy overhead. Lily walked alone, the tall grass swaying around her ankles, a gentle breeze ruffling her hair. She thought about how she would soon return home, back to her usual routine, her old friends, and the same teachers who expected her to stay quiet in class. But something had shifted. Just as the pendant's glow had shown her, the courage she now felt didn't have to disappear once she left Grandma's place. It came from a part of herself she could nurture daily. A quarter-mile out, near the trickling creek, she paused. In the reflection of the water, she saw not only her own face, but the glint of the pendant. She leaned in to peer closer. letting the golden light of the early evening sun play across the water. It struck her how fragile and precious the moment was, how easily she could doubt herself again once she got home, how simple it might be to slip back into old patterns of silence. But she didn't want that. She wanted to carry this new spark of confidence as faithfully as she carried the pendant around her neck. Closing her eyes, she listened to the rush of the water, letting the world grow calm around her. All at once, she recalled a line from that ancient journal: "The light you carry transforms to love when you share it." Lily inhaled, heart fluttering, imagining how she might encourage another shy student to speak up, or how she might join a club at school that aligned with her interests. She pictured packing her grandmother's love and the pendant's magic into her daily actions. That, she realized, was the best way to truly honor her family's legacy. When she turned to leave, something shimmered at the edge of her vision. It was a small, glowing trail of light, like a faint rainbow. Leading back across the field, the pendant had begun to glow again, responding to her sense of purpose. Without fear, without questioning, Lily followed the shimmering path, feeling it resonate inside her. Was it real or part of her imagination? It didn't matter. She laughed softly, thinking how she would have dismissed this as a fantasy just 2 days ago. Now she embraced it as a sign that she was on the right track. She returned to the house just as the sun dipped below the horizon. The family was already loading suitcases into the car, voices blending in the excitement of departure. Grandma was standing on the porch, wearing her warmest smile. "Ready, sweetheart?" her mother asked, patting the trunk of the car. Lily turned to Grandma, hugging her fiercely. She could smell the faint hint of lavender, and it soothed her final goodbyes. "Thank you," Lily whispered. "I can't tell you how much this means to me." Grandma kissed the top of her head. "You've always had so much to give," she said softly. "The pendant merely reminded you of your own strength. Don't ever doubt that, my dear." They waved their farewells, and the car pulled away from the old Victorian house. Lily stared out the window, watching as the large oak tree in the front yard shrank in the distance. She clasped the pendant, feeling a sturdy sense of optimism. She glanced at her mother and father chatting in the front seat, her father occasionally tossing a playful remark her way. At some point, her mother caught her eye in the rearview mirror. She offered Lily a proud, gentle smile, and Lily returned it with a confident nod. The ride home was filled with a peaceful contentment. Her parents asked about her experiences, and Lily found her words flowing easily. She talked about the orchard, the attic, and that old trunk filled with Grandma's memories, though she left out details about the journal and the pendant's magic. Some secrets, she reasoned, were best nurtured quietly, at least for now. She wanted time to see how her new confidence might unfold without external pressure. Eventually, Lily dozed off, only to wake as the car pulled into their driveway. Her mother sighed happily. "Home, sweet home," she said, twisting the key from the ignition. Lily watched the house's porch light flicker on, welcoming them back. For a moment, pangs of anxiety threatened to creep in, reminders of the old Lily. But she remembered the orchard laughter and Grandma's parting words. She pressed a palm to the pendant beneath her sweater. Yes, Lily thought, stepping out of the car, grabbing her bag. She could face the old routine with a renewed heart. Tomorrow, her neighbors might greet her, expecting the same shy girl, barely nodding hello. But she intended to surprise them by starting a conversation. She would walk the school hallways in a different posture, head up, shoulders relaxed, open to a world of possibility. And that, indeed, was everything she needed to keep moving forward. Inside, the house smelt familiar, tinged with the leftover fragrance of fresh coffee grounds and her mother's vanilla candles. Lily felt a swirl of memories, her bedroom upstairs, and all the nights she spent wishing she were braver, wishing she could stand out. She climbed the steps with a lighter stride, each footstep more sure than the last. She paused in her bedroom doorway, flipping on the light. The room looked almost the same as she'd left it. Soft pink walls, bookshelves stacked with novels, a desk cluttered with half-finished sketches. Yet it felt different now that she was different. She approached her desk and carefully hung the pendant on her lamp's knob, letting its chain reflect the soft glow of the overhead light. She smiled to see the stone flicker with subtle colors, a silent partner to her personal transformation. For a moment, Lily simply stood there, breathing in this new sense of peace and confidence. She grabbed a blank notebook from a drawer, sat at her desk, and began writing freely about what she'd learned, how fear could be replaced by curiosity, how speaking up might create a bridge to others, and how hidden strengths often stayed hidden only because we never dared to look for them. She concluded with a promise to herself each day, find a way to let her voice be heard, even if it was just commenting on a class discussion or saying hello to someone new. When Lily closed the notebook, a tiny flash caught her eye. The pendant glowed warmly as though it agreed with the words she had penned. She reached over, pressed a gentle finger to its surface, and the colors rippled through the gem like a soft aurora. In that luminous shimmer, Lily felt the final confirmation she needed. The real magic came from within her. No longer bound by the timid shell she once wore, Lily faced her reflection in the mirror. She saw a girl who still had moments of uncertainty and still might prefer quiet corners on occasion, but she also saw a girl hopeful enough to stand up for herself, to be brave in small increments, to tread new paths of connection and understanding. The pendant was an exquisite emblem of promise, an heirloom from generations past, yes, but also a key to unlocking her true potential. Lily flicked off the light, crawled into bed, and gazed at the pendant one last time before sleep claimed her. She closed her eyes with peace in her heart, knowing that tomorrow she would rise stronger, glowing softly with the knowledge that the magic to change her life had always been inside her. The pendant was simply her faithful reminder, a shimmering beacon made from the hope of those who believed in her even before she believed in herself. And that, she whispered in the quiet stillness, changed everything.